All right, everybody, welcome in. Let's talk restaurant profits today.
My favorite topic,
Well, and you would know, right?
hopefully.
You sent in this PDF, 4 ways to double your net profit within 12 months.
Mm-hmm.
And it's by eLoyalty.cards. Have you heard of them?
I have. Yeah, they're doing some really interesting stuff with technology for customer loyalty and engagement.
Yeah. And, with a title like that, 4 ways to double your net profit within 12 months,
Bold.
who wouldn't want to take a peek, right?
Right.
Doubling profits in just a year, that's the dream.
That's the dream, for sure.
And so that's what we're going to dive into today.
Let's do it.
We're all about, we love a good get-rich-quick idea,
Of course. Who doesn't?
but we really want to find those,
Golden nuggets.
the golden nuggets, exactly, of wisdom that can actually make a difference for you.
Absolutely.
So think of us as your trusty guides, right?
Yes.
Sifting through maybe some of that hype to uncover the truly actionable advice in this PDF.
Love it. We're separating the sizzle from the steak, so to speak.
Okay, I like that.
Yeah.
So the PDF, it outlines 4 main strategies to double those profits.
Okay.
Increase prices,
Mm-hmm.
decrease costs, attract more foot traffic,
Makes sense.
and turn those first-time diners into loyal regulars.
The Holy Grail.
Now, on the surface, these might seem pretty standard,
Sure.
maybe even a little obvious,
Yeah.
but, sometimes...
Sometimes the most obvious strategies are the ones that we just completely forget about.
Totally.
Or we don't implement them well, right?
Yeah.
It's like forgetting to salt your food. Like you need that to make everything else, all the other flavors really pop.
It brings it all together.
Exactly. So these 4 strategies, this is the salt of the restaurant world.
I love it.
And we're going to dive in to the why and the how.
Okay, so let's start with this idea of increasing prices.
Okay.
I know.
Trickery.
It can feel like a risky move.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to scare away customers with higher prices.
Right. You don't want to price yourself out of an market.
Exactly. So how do you walk that line?
Well, that's where I think this PDF gets really smart because it talks about this idea of the art of the nudge.
Okay.
Right. So not these big, scary price hikes, but these small strategic nudges that can make a really big difference.
So give me an example. What do you mean nudges?
So it starts with communication.
Right.
Being really upfront and transparent with your customers about why prices are increasing
Sure.
and what added value they're going to be getting in return.
Go.
It's about maybe adding those little extras, that make people feel like they're getting more bang for their buck.
Right.
And this is where I think it gets even more interesting.
Okay.
They talk about this idea of customer segmentation.
Okay. Break that down for me.
So not all customers are created equal, right?
Okay.
So a fine dining restaurant, that has a very specific clientele.
Right.
They probably have a little bit more flexibility to adjust prices than, say, a casual diner where people are very, very price sensitive.
Sure. Yeah, that makes sense.
You have to know your audience and tailor your pricing strategy accordingly.
Know your customer. Right.
Exactly.
All right. Well, speaking of knowing your audience, the PDF mentions a restaurant. They don't name any names.
Okay.
But this unnamed restaurant, they managed to raise their prices by 10%
Wow.
without losing a single customer.
Okay, now that's impressive. How did they do that?
Transparency
Okay.
and added value.
Okay.
They were super upfront with their customers
Yeah.
about why the increase was happening.
Right.
They gave them plenty of notice. But here's the kicker.
Okay.
They started offering these little perks.
Like what?
A free appetizer with certain entrees, maybe a small discount on certain days of the week.
Yeah.
Things that made that price increase feel less like a burden
Yeah.
and more like a value proposition.
Right. It's all about perception.
Exactly.
Right. By adding in these perceived extras, they kind of shifted the customer's focus from, oh no, higher prices to, hey, you know what? I'm getting more for my money.
Yeah.
It's brilliant marketing, honestly,
Yeah.
when you think about it.
Yeah, totally.
Very smart.
Okay, so we've tackled these price increases.
Yes.
Let's move on to the other side of the profit equation, decreasing costs.
Right.
Now, this can feel like walking a tightrope, right?
It can. It can.
You want to save money, but you also don't want to compromise on quality.
Right. Absolutely. You've got to find that sweet spot.
So how do you do it?
Well, the PDF actually goes through some of the usual suspects.
Okay.
Things like really taking the time to negotiate with your suppliers to make sure you're getting the best possible prices,
Mm-hmm.
taking a hard look at your labor costs, making sure you're staffed appropriately, but not overstaffed,
Right.
keeping a close eye on your energy consumption,
Makes sense.
all of those things. But there's one area that they seem particularly passionate about,
Oh, yes.
reducing food waste.
Of course. Yeah.
Because wasted food equals wasted money.
Exactly.
And this is a massive problem in the restaurant industry.
I was just going to say, are we talking like a little bit of food waste, or is this like a substantial issue?
It's substantial. Get this. A third of all food produced globally
Wow.
ends up in the trash.
That's wild.
And restaurants, unfortunately, are significant contributors to that statistic.
Wow, I had no idea it was that much.
Yeah, so it's not just about the financial hit, which is significant, but it's also about the environmental impact.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we really have to get a handle on this.
So what can restaurant owners do?
Like, what can they do to actually tackle this problem?
Yeah. What are some practical tips?
Well, it might seem surprising,
Okay.
but a lot of it really just comes down to simple changes in habits.
Okay.
And the PDF talks about, for example, the importance of proper food storage techniques.
Okay.
Something as simple as making sure your walk-in fridge is at the right temperature
Right.
can make a huge difference in terms of how long those ingredients last.
It's amazing how those little things
I know.
can make such a big impact.
Right, and it's not just about storage either. It's about training your staff
Okay.
on proper food handling, portion control,
Right.
even something like standardizing recipes can go a long way, because then you're minimizing that waste and you're ensuring consistency.
Consistent product, yeah.
Exactly.
Which is what people want.
Exactly.
So simple, yet so effective,
Oh,
right?
absolutely.
But on that note of cost cutting,
Yeah.
the PDF does offer a word of caution.
Okay.
They warn against being penny wise and pound foolish, especially when it comes to your staff and your marketing efforts.
Which honestly, I think is where a lot of restaurants maybe go wrong.
How so?
They think, oh, I need to cut costs, so I'm going to, maybe let go a staff member, or I'm going to cut back on my marketing budget.
Right.
But the reality is that these are investments, not just expenses.
Explain that.
Your staff are the face of your restaurant.
Right.
They interact with your customers. They're the ones creating that dining experience.
Yeah. They can make or break you.
Exactly. And they're the ones who have the power to turn that first-time visitor into a loyal regular.
For sure.
So investing in their training,
Right.
creating a positive work environment, that's going to pay huge dividends in the long run.
You're investing in your people
Exactly.
and hoping that they invest back in you.
Exactly.
Right. I like that.
And the same goes for marketing,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
It might seem like an easy place to cut back when you're trying to save money.
Right.
But in today's day and age, digital age,
Oh my gosh, you've got to be online.
you have to have a strong online presence,
Yeah.
because for so many people, that is their first impression of your restaurant.
Totally.
So yes, be mindful of costs, but
Right.
remember that strategic investments in your staff
Wait.
and in your marketing can be just as valuable as saving a few bucks on your ingredients.
Absolutely. Well said. Couldn't agree more.
Right.
Okay, so we've talked about keeping costs in check, but what about bringing in those new faces?
Yes, the next challenge.
That's next when we come back. So we've talked about, keeping those costs down,
Yeah.
but what about getting those new customers in the door?
Right.
The PDF, it really emphasizes how important attracting new customers is.
It's huge. It's huge.
And they're all about using technology to do it.
Well, and for good reason, right?
Right.
I mean, think about your own experience.
Yeah.
How often are you searching for a new restaurant online, or like scrolling through Instagram looking at food pics?
Oh, guilty as charged.
Right.
I see a couple drool-worthy photos and I'm sold.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, you have to meet your customers where they are, and these days they're online.
They're online.
We are.
Yeah. It's like you said earlier,
Yeah.
that digital storefront, that's your first impression.
Absolutely. And this PDF, it talks about creating this digital welcome mat for your restaurant,
Okay. I like that.
which I love, right? It's that first impression, making it so easy for people to find you online. Whether they're searching on Google Maps, scrolling through social media, or even just like looking for online ordering,
Right. Absolutely.
meeting those customers where they are.
Yeah, and I think a lot of restaurants, they have that impulse to
Yeah,
set up that website,
right.
and then they kind of just forget about it.
Right. It's like, okay, check that box, we're done.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's an ongoing process,
Yeah.
right?
It is, totally.
You got to keep it fresh, keep it updated.
Hook up with it.
Especially because, and this is a stat from the PDF that kind of blew my mind, 70% of customers never return after their first visit.
Seriously. 70%.
70%.
That's disheartening, I'm not going to lie.
It's really tough, right? Because you put so much effort into getting those first-timers in the door,
Right.
and then the majority of them just disappear.
So what do you do?
Well, and that's That's what we're talking about, is how do you make that digital experience so good,
Right.
so seamless, so enticing that people actually do want to come back,
Yeah.
right? And so much of it comes down to, like I said, meeting those customers where they are online, giving them online ordering, reservation systems that are super easy to use,
Sure.
targeted ads on social media. All of these things can make a huge difference.
Absolutely. And we touched on this a little bit earlier, but the PDF, they call repeat customers like the secret sauce of profitability.
Oh, for sure.
Right.
Because it is so much more expensive to acquire a new customer
Right.
than it is to keep an existing one coming back.
Right. You've already done the work.
Exactly. You've already in the work, so why not, really focus on those relationships that you've already built?
And they even put a number on it.
Oh, yeah.
They're saying that increasing customer retention by just 5% can boost your profits by 25 to 95%.
See, that's huge.
It's massive. Right.
It is.
So how do we do that? How do we get them coming back for more?
Well, I think a lot of it comes down to, building those strong relationships with your customers, and that can take so many forms, right? So the PDF talks about things like loyalty programs, which everyone loves a good reward system.
A freebie.
Exactly. So, whether it's a free appetizer, a discount on their birthday, exclusive access to special events, those kinds of things.
Yeah.
They also emphasize, just providing top-notch customer service,
Of course.
making sure you have those personalized experiences and that you're communicating clearly and easily with your customers.
It's all about going that extra mile.
It really is. It's about showing your customers that you care.
Right. That you see them, that you hear them.
Exactly. You value their business,
Yes.
And they actually use Starbucks as a case study for their loyalty program,
Okay.
which,
You're going to talk about the rewards program and the free drinks, aren't you?
I mean, it works, right?
It does. It does.
It does, but I think what Starbucks does really well is they figured out how to use technology
Huh?
to actually personalize that customer experience.
How so?
So, we were talking about 70% of first-time customers don't come back.
Yeah.
Imagine if you could cut that in half by getting people hooked on your app, on your reward system.
Right.
And just that ease and personalization.
Okay, so they've made it easy.
They've made it easy, they've made it fun,
Right. Yeah.
and they've made it rewarding.
And it keeps people coming back for more.
Exactly.
So to recap,
Yeah.
we've talked about how to increase those prices strategically,
Yes.
decrease costs without sacrificing that quality,
Right.
how to really harness the power of the internet to bring in those new customers.
Absolutely. That digital presence.
Yes. And of course, the magic of creating that loyal customer
Yes.
who comes back time and time again.
The Holy Grail.
The Holy Grail. I love it.
There it is.
But before we let you go today,
Yes.
we do want to leave you with a little bit of food for thought.
Okay. I like it.
So think about your own restaurant, okay?
Okay.
If you had to choose, which feels more challenging right now,
Okay.
attracting those new faces or turning your existing customers into those loyal regulars?
It's a good question, Real.
It is a good question,
Yeah.
and there's no right or wrong answer.
No. And it might be different for every restaurant, right?
Exactly.
Depending on, how long you've been in business, what your current customer base looks like, all of that.
It's all about knowing your business.
Exactly.
But once you've identified that, biggest area of opportunity for you,
Right.
then you can start thinking about, okay, what's one concrete action I can take this week to start making a difference?
I love that.
Maybe it's revamping that online ordering system.
Yep.
Maybe it's finally launching that customer loyalty program you've been thinking about.
Great.
Or maybe it's just having a team meeting to figure out how to better manage food waste in your kitchen.
All great ideas.
Small steps can lead to big changes,
Absolutely.
especially when we're talking about,
The bottom line.
the bottom line. Exactly.
That's what it's all about.
Well, on that note, we're going to wrap things up for today.
Okay.
Thanks for diving deep with us,
Always a pleasure.
and we'll catch you next time for another great episode.
Sounds good.
So we covered a lot today.
We did. We really dug in.
We dug in deep.
Which I always love.
We talked about those price increases,
Yeah.
how to decrease costs, but do it smart, not cut corners where it matters.
Exactly. Protect that
It's
quality.
the internet, right? Can't forget that.
Huge.
Got to bring in those new customers online.
Digital storefront.
Exactly. And then once you got them, keep them.
Oh, the loyalty loop. So important.
That's the magic, right?
It is. It really is.
This PDF, I got to hand it to them. They did a good job breaking it down.
They did. It's very actionable.
That's what we like.
Yeah, because what good is information if you can't actually use it, right?
Exactly. We want you to walk away from this and do something.
Absolutely.
Make a change.
Yes.
So last little food for thought here.
All right, hit me.
If you had to choose attracting those brand new faces or turning the ones you already got into regulars,
Yeah.
which feels tougher in your business?
It's a good question to consider because it's going to be different for everyone.
Right. No right answer.
Depends on the restaurant, how long you've been around.
Are you the new kid on the block or you've been here forever?
Exactly. What's your existing customer base look like?
So you figure that out.
Yeah.
Then what?
Then you say, all right, what's one thing, just one concrete action?
This week.
Got to be practiced.
This week that you can do to move the needle.
I like it.
Right. So maybe it is time to revamp that online ordering system.
That's an easy one.
It can make a big difference.
It really can.
Or, like we said, finally launch that customer loyalty program.
Give the people what they want, right?
Exactly.
Maybe free dessert, who knows?
Works for me.
But even something as simple as, having a team meeting,
Okay.
getting everyone together saying, all right, how can we do a better job? How can we be more mindful about food waste?
Love it.
Little things like that.
Small steps, big changes.
Absolutely, especially when it comes to profit.
That bottom line, it matters.
It does at the end of the day.
Well, on that note, we're going to wrap up.
Okay.
Thanks for diving deep with us. Always a pleasure.
Always fun chatting with you.
And for everyone listening, we'll catch you next time.
See you later.